Okay, can you see my screen? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, in the last class, we studied about a piston and what is the piston made up of, various types of piston, flat top piston, disc piston, dome piston, then various parts of the piston, and we were discussing about the piston ring. And there are three types of piston ring: compression ring, scraper or wiper ring. Then comes the oil control ring. So these are the rings present inside the piston. Uh, okay. Then another property is I have already told you about the compression rings purpose. So the compression rings purpose is the sealing of fuel and air or the combustion products inside the cylinder rather than it blowing out to the crankcase. So that is a function of the compression ring. So there are two compression rings, and the compression rings are placed in such a way that the split part of the compression rings faces opposite each other, so that when blow by occurs through this gap, it will not go downwards, because when we align this split ring to this adjacent to this split ring, then there is a chance of blow by. Thereby, it is faced in the opposite direction. So that's how the compression ring is placed. Then the oil rings serve the purpose of, so you can see there are two oil rings here. There is an expander here. It is almost as assembled into one. So when we look at the oil ring in a piston of an engine, or when you dismantle an engine, you see that the oil rings are meshed with each other using the expander. So the expander serves the purpose of collecting the oil, which is scraped by the oil rings. So the oil rings scrape the oil from the surface of the cylinder wall, and it is collected by the expander, and due to gravity it falls downwards into the oil pan. So that is the function of oil ring. Then, so how does the sealing of gases inside the cylinder occurs? Okay, so this is a piston. The green portion that is shown is the piston. The orange part is the piston ring. So initially our first stroke is a suction stroke. So in a suction stroke, I have already told you, the piston moves from the TDC to the BDC. TDC is the top dead center and BDC is the bottom dead center. So the piston moves from top to bottom. Okay, piston moves from up to down. So due to that motion, the air and fuel particles are inhaled into the cylinder. Okay, it is sucked. So it is called a suction stroke. And during that suction, uh, okay, after that suction, the piston moves from BDC to TDC, from the bottom to the top, thereby compressing the charge. Okay, when the charge is compressed, the ring, you can see here the ring, it moves upwards and downwards. Okay, and why does this move upwards and downwards means, when we assemble the ring is not tightly fixed inside the piston groove. So this is the piston groove. Such a groove is also shown below. It is only a half portion is shown. So inside the groove, the piston ring is loosely packed. So it is not tightly packed. It is loosely packed. So due to that, the piston rings move in this motion. So when we compress, when the piston is moving from down to up, from the bottom to the top portion, the compression occurs in top of the piston. Okay, at the top portion of the piston, compression occurs. So the compressed charge exerts a force below here. Through here, the compressed charge exerts a force. But when it sees one that occurs, the fuel and air particles can move through here, but it can't go down because due to the compression pressure occurring inside, it forces the piston ring outwards. So the piston ring will be forced outwards, thereby we will get the ring to mesh with the cylinder wall. So the ring will be perfectly in contact with the cylinder wall. So that is how the compressed charge occurs. And also when the piston moves downwards in the next stroke, that is the expansion stroke or the power stroke, an explosion occurs at the top of the piston. And when that explosion occurs, the expanding gas also pushes the piston ground downwards. Sorry, the piston ring downwards. The same procedure is there, and the force exerted by the compression takes place here in the ring. So only during the suction stroke only during the suction stroke and exhaust stroke, the piston ring is somewhat loosely packed. Other time there is a huge pressure generated. So during compression and the expansion stroke, so the piston ring always sits in the cylinder walls. Next, so you can see here the oil ring. There is two oil rings here, and in between that there is an expander. So this is how we will get a, when we dismantle the piston, you can see it in this format. And you can see how loosely it is packed. See, the rings are not tightly packed. It is expanded in sideways. So you can see here, there is too much portion here, but there is only little in the second ring. So this is how it is packed inside. Then the areas of surface between these rings are called piston ring lands. So an area between the rings. So from the top ring and second ring, this is called a piston ring land. And between the second and oil ring, it is also called a piston ring land. The ring mounting grooves are designed to maintain the piston ring in position. So the grooves, these are the grooves. So inside the grooves, we are fitting the compression ring. Then the split design of the piston ring has several benefits. So it is, I told you that it's a split ring. So being a split ring, see, this is the split ring. Then what are the benefits? It allows for spring action, which helps the rings to maintain the correct piston ring gap. So due to the spring action, when we compress it, and when you compress the spring, it returns to its normal position when the compressive force is removed. In the same manner, when the piston ring is inserted, due to the spring action of the piston ring, it expands and tries to attain its normal position, not its original position. Where in the original position, the split ring gap will be much higher than when in the cylinder or inside the combustion chamber. So due to that spring action, the piston ring expands slightly, and that provides a sufficient contact with the cylinder walls. The split also makes a piston ring installation easy. So if you want to remove the piston ring, when you dismantle the piston, when you take it out from the cylinder block itself, the ring will be expanded and you can easily dismantle the piston ring. And also during assembly, we can install it using the piston ring tool. So you can see here, So this is a tool, and using that we can easily mount the piston inside the engine. To ensure spring constant under heat, load, pressures, and other conditions, the manufacturers prefer cast iron or pieces of steel for piston ring material. So cast iron and or pieces of steel are used for piston ring to ensure that the piston ring does not melt under heat or does not break under load or pressure. So load occurs during compression force and pressures occurs during the expansion stroke or the explosion that occurs inside the cylinder. So for that purpose, the spring is manufactured using cast iron or pieces of steel. So these are the functions of piston ring. So three functions basically. Seal of the combustion chamber. So this is how the sealing occurs. So I have explained it using that video you have seen there. So this is how the compression, during the compression. So this is the piston, okay. This is the piston. This is the cylinder wall. This is the ring. So the piston grooves are here. Inside the grooves, the piston rings are shown here, and due to the compressive and pressures occurred, it forms a tight sealant inside the cylinder. Next, conduct the heat away to the cylinder bore. So the piston rings are the first thing after the piston crown. The piston rings come into contact with the heat, and the heat is dissipated to the cylinder walls. So it is in contact. So there is a conduction of heat through the piston ring to the cylinder walls, and the heat is thereby emitted to the atmosphere. Okay, that's how the heat is controlled inside the cylinder. Then regulate lubricating oil usage. So for lubricating oil usage regulation, we have the oil ring. So the oil ring is provided with various holes. So the holes are present in the expander as you have seen. So while scraping out, you can see, so there are two oil rings and the expander in the middle. Scraping out, and the expander absorbs the oil particles and is further dumped into the oil sump. So you can see there is a hole here, okay. Where there is a oil ring, there is hole inside the piston groove. So providing a hole inside the piston groove is nothing but to provide, to facilitate the movement of oil from the oil ring through the piston into the oil sump. So that is why a hole is provided at the groove where the oil ring is present inside a piston. So you can see when you dismantle a piston, you can see some holes where the oil ring is present. So the purpose of that is to collect the excess oil and also in turn lubricate the piston. So the piston is also a mechanical part that is having sufficient movement, and due to that movement wearing or friction occurs, and to avoid that friction we are providing the lubricating oil that helps in the smooth functioning of piston. Next part is the piston skirt. So why it's called a piston skirt? So you know that the small children, you can see in kindergarten and all, they wear skirts, okay. And that skirt, the piston also is shaped in the form of a skirt. So you can see the bottom portion of the oil ring is called the skirt. So it will be in the model of a skirt, and that part is called the piston skirt. Okay, it is the the skirt of the piston refers to the cylindrical material mounted on the round section of the piston. So the piston is here and it is mounted on the round section of the piston. It is made up of cast iron material due to its excellent wear resistant and self-lubricating properties. So wear resistance means, I have told you, due to the scraping of material, due to the scraping of metal, material particles or the metal particles in the form of small particles are carved out from the surface of the cylinder wall or the piston ring or the piston itself. So to avoid that, we use materials that has excellent wear resistance. So even during continuous working, it will not wear than when compared to other materials. Okay, where it will, of course, it will be wearing, but its rate of wear will be less than that of other metals which can be used in the part of piston skirt. So cast iron material is the best, excellent wear resistant material and also has a self lubricating property. So enough friction is not generated when using cast iron material. So if you ask why can't you make a cast iron engine block? So the problem is cast iron is a heavier material when compared with aluminum. So aluminum alloys are lighter in weight and also better thermal conducting properties. Thermal conducting means it can conduct the heat generated inside the cylinder fastly to the atmosphere, thereby reducing the chance of melting of the piston or the piston crown. Okay, so cast iron we will use only for wear resistance at sufficient parts only. Then the skirt contains the grooves to mount the piston oil ring as well as the compression ring. So the skirt is this complete portion uh, below the piston head. So the grooves are provided in the skirt for the mounting of piston and oil rings. Next, types of piston skirts. So there is basically two types of piston skirt, full skirt and a slipper skirt. Okay, full skirt is also known as solid skirt. Okay, the full skirt features a tubular shape. It is commonly used in engines of large automobiles. Okay, you can see that here it is having a tubular shape. So it is not a full solid material. There is a hollow part inside the piston. So you can see this is a cross section of the piston. So this is the same piston, and inside that, when we look underneath the piston, you can see a hollow part. Okay, it is not a completely a solid particle. So such a skirt, if the skirt is in such a manner, so the underneath portion is the only place where it is hollow, and normally the skirt region is completely hollow. So if it is seen in this design, it is called a full skirt piston skirt. Okay. In slipper skirt, the piston skirt is used on pistons of motorcycles and some cars. It has part of the skirt cut away to leave only the surface on the back and front of the cylinder wall. This helps to reduce weight and minimize the contact area between cylinder wall and piston. So you can see what is the difference here itself. So there is a cut section. So you can see here there is nothing like that, but here there is a cut section. Such a way, a cut section is also provided in this side, but only the top and bottom. Okay, they have said that the back and front. Okay, the back and front are not cut in this way. So these are the only portions that are in contact with the cylinder walls. So what is the advantage? The advantage is we are removing excess material from here. So by removing that excess material or the cast iron material, it helps to reduce weight. Okay, and also due to the minimization of the contact area in the cylinder walls, the wearing of this part will be much lesser than the other parts. Okay, so what happens when wearing occurs is that the mechanical strength of the piston decreases, and due to this decrease, a failure of the piston during its working can occur. So for that to reduce that, we use cast iron material for excellent wear resistance. Then the function of the skirt is the skirt guides the piston as it travels up and down the cylinder. So the skirt is the place where the next component we are going to study, piston pin. So the piston pin is present, and in that pin, the connecting rod comes, and the motion of the piston, up and motion of the piston is converted into the rotational motion by means of a connecting rod. So the skirt guides the piston to travel up and down the cylinder while being connected to the connecting rod. Next, its design helps the piston to overcome side forces created by changing angle of connecting rod. So the connecting rod never operates in a straight line, but it always operates in a slanting motion. So due to the rotational motion at its big end or the bottom end, the connecting rod always works in a angle position. So at varying angle, at different conditions, the angle is changed and it provides a rotational motion. And due to this changing angle, there is a force generated in the connecting rod, especially during the compression and exhaust strokes. So during these strokes, the connecting rod moves upwards. So the force is exerted to the piston rather than from the piston. So force is exerted from the connecting rod to the piston. So when that force is there, there is, of course, there is a chance of failure of the piston, or sufficiently high load is occurring at the piston, and to overcome these forces, piston skirt is provided with a cast iron material. Next, if worn, the piston would also rock in the cylinder uncontrollably and cause piston slap. So there is a process called piston slap. So what is that means? When the piston skirt is worn out means it is weared out. When it is weared out, there is only less material in the piston skirt. So when that occurs, the piston is loosely held inside the cylinder. So due to the rotating or changing angle movement of the connecting rod, the piston would rock or hit the sides of the walls loosely, okay, due to the wearing. So during this loosely hitting of the walls, a process called, so we know what is the slapping means, okay. We slap at the surface and sufficient noise occurs. In the same way, the piston also slaps on the surface of the cylinder wall, thereby causing piston slap. Okay. And in normal operation, piston slap will often go away after the engine has warmed. So when the piston is warmed, that is warmed means when the operating temperature, so the operating temperature inside a cylinder is normally 200 degrees Celsius. So once that temperature is occurred, the piston also is heated. And due to this heating, there occurs a phenomenon called thermal expansion. So what is thermal expansion? When an object, most probably a metal, absorbs heat, it expands a little, okay, and this is due to the change in temperature. Okay, due to the heat generated, there is a temperature difference. So the piston also gets heated and it expands a little. Okay, it is the property of the material to how much it have to expand. But when when the heat or the temperature is inside the piston expands, thereby providing a seating arrangement, and this causes or reduces the piston slap inside the cylinder. Next component is the piston pin. So you can see here, this is the piston pin. So where is the piston pin coming? So the piston pin goes into this piston hole, or it's called the piston boss. Okay, it's called the piston boss or the piston hole, and through that the piston pin is connected. So what is the purpose of the piston ring? The piston ring secures the connecting rod. Okay, the connecting rod will be secured inside the piston. So you can see here, the connecting rod is this one, and the piston pin is given through here, and due to that, this end of the connecting rod is secured by means of the piston pin. Okay, it is also known as wrist pin or gudgeon pin. Wrist pin or gudgeon pin. And the piston pin is hollow or solid shaft. Okay, it will be on two types. That is, it can be a solid shaft wherein there is no hollow portion. Okay, it is a single material wound into a solid. While a hollow part, you can see there is a hollow here. Okay, there is a hole here that runs through the pin. Okay, it can be either hollow or solid shaft. Normally, we see hollow. Then the piston rod pivots on this pin held in piston ring bushing. Okay, what is a bushing? I will show you later. Then for tensile strength, the piston pins are usually built from alloy, steel, and machined to fit the piston bearing. So alloy steel is used for piston pins. So this provides sufficient strength. Okay. So the piston pin is where the connecting rod is connected. Connecting rod is connected. So the connecting rod pressure actually occurs at the piston pin. So due to its connecting on the piston or the piston pin, the connecting rod when moves upwards exerts force onto the piston through the piston pin. So the piston pin is the exact part wherein the force is greater than that of the piston. So for that strength, it is made up of alloy steel. Okay, you can see here in the figure how the piston pin is inserted inside the piston boss or the piston hole. Okay. Now, holes in the connecting rod deliver oil to the wrist pin. Okay, I have told you about the holes inside the, so you can see here holes. Okay, these are the holes that are provided inside the piston. That is, this is the place where the oil ring is mounted. In such a way, holes are also provided in the connecting rod so as to lubricate the connecting rod, and which in turn at the connecting rod a small end. So there is two ends of the connecting rod. So this is a small end and this is the big end. Okay. Now when we study about connecting rod, I will explain it to you. So the small end is connected to the piston pin or the piston. Okay. And inside that the small end, there is also holes. So these holes deliver oil to the piston ring, thereby reducing friction. Then piston pin assemblies and mounting styles vary. They can be categorized into three designs. So what are the three designs? Free to revolve in both piston and connecting rod, clamped to the connecting rod, and rigidly mounted to piston bosses. Okay, we will explain it in detail. We'll see about that. So next, a piston pin forms the connection or pivotal point of pistons and connecting rod. So it connects the pivotal point of the piston and connecting rod. They provide bearing support and helps piston to function properly. In other words, the pin facilitates the back and forth of the piston. So what is bearing? So bearing is any material that reduces friction and in turn protects the material from wearing out. So this is why a piston pin in the piston pin bearings are provided. So I'll show you what is a bearing in later class. Next, types of piston pins. So these are the basic types of piston pins. So there is fixed pin, semi-floating pin, full floating. So that is what is explained here. So there are three designs. So we are looking into the three designs. So first one is stationary or fixed pin. So what does it say? The pin attaches to the bosses of the piston via a screw and the piston rod then pivots on the pin. So the piston pin is fixed inside the piston. The piston pin is fixed inside the piston. Okay, that is what is known as a stationary or fixed pin. So at the next procedure, we connect the small end of the connecting rod onto the piston pin. So that is why it's known as a stationary or fixed pin. The pin is fixed onto the piston. Next is a semi-floating. In this case, the pin is connected to the connecting rod. It is fixed inside the connecting rod and then attached into the piston. That is what is known as a semi-floating piston pin. Next is a fully floating. So in a fully floating, the pin is free. So what we do is we attach the small end of the piston and the piston is mounted, and when the hole of the piston pin the hole of the piston and the hole of the small end coincides, we insert the pin or the piston pin inside the piston boss or the piston hole. Okay, this is why it's called a fully floating, wherein the piston pin is fully free. So when you disassemble, we can remove it easily, and you can dismantle the piston and the connecting rod easily. So most probably we are seeing fully floating piston pins, and these are most commercially used nowadays. Next is the piston head or crown, or 1 minute, I will show you the piston bearing. So this is a piston bearing. So there are basically two types of bearings. So you can see the bearings are piston parts that are located at the points where pivotal rotation takes place. So wherever a rotation takes place, piston bearings are provided, or the bearings are provided. So there is a bearing at the piston pin, there is a bearing on the small end of the connecting rod, there is a bearing on the large end of the connecting rod. So these are the bearings that are provided inside the engine. Wherever there is a rotation, we give bearing. So the bearings takes the bearing. Okay, the bearings are responsible for taking the bearing, thereby engine material. So we are attaching a bearing. So it is being attached to the pin or the connecting rod. So this part will get degraded or weared out instead of the piston pin or the piston or the connecting rod wearing out. So this helps in bearing. Okay. These are usually semicircular metal pieces. So it can be either in the form of a roller bearings, wherein there are rollers here, which provides necessary, which reduces friction and rolls inside the piston pin. These are other type of bearings, bearings. So these bearings are also set inside, and you can see there are holes here. Okay, these holes are provided so that oil flows into this, and lubrication occurs, and the smooth moving of the piston pin inside the piston occurs. Okay, this is the bearing, and it is made up of materials such as lead, copper, silicon, aluminum, and other materials. Normally are lead, copper, silicon, and aluminum. Okay. Now I'll take the attendance.